And cybersecurity, that's our focus for today. October happens to be Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So why not learn more about the Cybersecurity Specialist Program? We have Wendy Deem joining us today, an information technologies instructor. Wendy, hello. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. All right. Well, I'm a little bit curious always to how someone finds themselves connected and teaching at Fox Valley Tech. So tell us a little bit about maybe your career and your journey at Fox Valley Tech.
Sure. It always seems to be a journey. Fox Valley Tech is great at hiring people that have done things a little bit for a little while.
Yes.
So I started in desktop support in the paper industry, and then I moved to what I would call network administration and management at a construction company. I was an adjunct first. They always seem to test you out to see if they like how you handle things since 2011. Then I was hired full-time in January of 2016. So I've been at the college just about almost 8 years. Started in the programs that I was comfortable teaching in and the jobs I had before. And cyber sort of came out at that time, if I would want to put it that way. We had a grant through the federal government to start a program with a very long name that I honestly didn't write down and don't want to repeat. We've changed it to cybersecurity specialist because of the way industry has turned.
Interesting. So tell us now, kind of today, what you are doing, what your role is within the IT program.
So in my opinion, cyber is such a wide topic, much like IT. So my passion is networking. So that's really where I tie back my cyber conversations with students. Joe Wetzel, my colleague, is much more app dev, and we argue a lot. I always use his name a lot. I always ask him if his ears are ringing because we just come at these problems very differently because of the way that we think and our past history. So I started teaching on the network side, and then there were opportunities to teach more in the cyber program. And it's been really interesting to watch that grow in the last 8 years, just from even technologies that we're able to offer in the classroom versus what's published in books, what's taught at what I would call a baseline level, and what's offered by the federal government. We've used a lot of what I would call templates or frameworks from the NIST, which is federally driven. I don't know the right word to use there.
Okay. I think a lot of times, when we're talking about programs at Fox Valley Tech, our community might be thinking, well, how does this connect to me? How does this relate to me? My brain is going, well, hey, if you use a computer, if you're using a phone, IT and cybersecurity likely affects you. Would you agree with that? Or am I close? Or what do you think?
Well, what I think is great about the college is you can take a class there to learn how to use an iPad. I mean, so vast knowledge sets if you're looking to enhance your knowledge in Excel or Word, or we offer all of these type of things without being program focused.
Yeah.
So cybersecurity is certainly very focused. Our students do come from a variety of backgrounds of their interest and what they want to help solve. And I try really in the classroom to gain that interest from all those backgrounds. I always say I'm not very good technically, but I'm much better socially. I don't know if either side is actually true, but my students seem to attach to that because I think we focus so much in IT on your technical skill and knowledge, which is very important, but is not the only checkbox when you're going to work somewhere.
All right. Well, let's dig into the program a little bit. It's Cybersecurity Month, so that's a little bit of why we're focused on this here today. And the Cybersecurity Specialist Program is in particular what we're going to highlight. It's an associate degree program. So let's talk a little bit about it, maybe walk through the curriculum, maybe some of the classes that are associated with this program.
I think it's important to understand, too, if you're even considering coming back to college or coming to college out of high school, is that that first year, we give you such a foundation of computing knowledge, period. And I always tell students, it's so you can change your mind if you want to. If you're super excited about cyber, you know that from the beginning, you're still going to take that, what I would call foundational level first year. And then as we transition into the third and fourth semester, your second year, we focus much more on what our advisory committee highlights as challenges that they're having and what an associate degree student would come in helping them with. A lot of that is, dashboard type activity, alerts that are being thrown, things that are odd anomalies, whether that's a problem or not is a different conversation, but those would be those entry-level jobs.
I feel like the curriculum must be evolving always because the types of danger that's out there in that cybersecurity world, I'm sure, is always evolving.
It's very cutting edge, but it's also the same story we've been telling for 20 years. I kind of chuckle. Some of the students are like, you're kidding. We're still talking about passwords? Yes, we are. We're still talking about passwords. We're talking about changing default names of things, whether that's your wireless network at home or your wireless ID name. Some of those basics are still true, and they're published now because it's been a recommendation or best practice for such a long time. But Python is big. That's a course we teach. I teach a class called Security Monitoring Operations, and we had one called Incident Response, but then we've dovetailed that into the capstone where a student really walks through a problem with an organization, and they walk through the process of identifying what happened, what you might do, what you might mitigate. So I'm walking around your question a bit because it keeps changing. The technologies aren't, I don't know. And again, we try to be very versatile wherever you go to work. So in the security monitoring operations class, my students do a big project at the end where they try to find a SIEM tool that works best for the company that they're protecting. And there are different names that pop up with that every time with the same challenges, same concerns.
Interesting. So change your password. Maybe that's it rings true. It's a oldie but a goodie.
I finally got a password manager because it just is impossible to keep thinking of new different things. And now with AI, right, like they know you better than you know yourself. So your cycle of 10 passwords is very predictable. So that's still very much a conversation.
Interesting. All right. I know you mentioned the name change, and I do have a question actually about that here because the computer security program recently went through that name change from information security systems specialist to cybersecurity specialist. So there's significance in this. Why the name change, and how does it, again, maybe represent the industry today?
I think that's a great question because it does highlight the names and how specific they are. You can go to Google them. You'll get a couple NIST definitions. Information security, I think, in my opinion, it goes back to my first jobs. We protected the data at our house, right, in our home corporate office. We supported and protected things in the building. Made sure information was consistent and available and all of those good things. The cyber part twists it, and not that we're not still doing that, but now we're doing it from the outside concerns. So very specifically internet challenges as data now moves in the cloud and is not at home or at the home base or in your corporate office. We have much more challenges to who can get it, who's looking at it, who's moving it, who's backing it up. And those are just, to me, those are very significant differences of what we're looking at and what we're teaching.
All right. We're talking with Wendy Deem, Information Technologies Instructor with Fox Valley Tech. We'll pause here, but we'll come back and talk more about what kind of student is maybe best suited for this program as we highlight cybersecurity awareness here on WHBY. Welcome back. It's our Focus on Careers with Fox Valley Technical College. We have Wendy Deem with the Information Technologies program joining us here today. And I have a question about the DMZ. I understand this is one of your very cool hands-on learning tools. Can you tell us what DMZ is, what your students are doing with DMZ, and what it means to do ethical hacking?
Sure, a lot of buzzwords in that statement.
Yeah.
And DMZ means the same thing it does for the military, so a demilitarized zone.
I was wondering that, yeah.
What's cool about it in technology, the best way to explain it, I think, is a highway. So you have your lanes of traffic. This is an opportunity for students to play with ethically things that could harm the college, right? In a lane that does not interrupt what is happening for normal business. So that's the importance of it's physically on campus, but we don't think of it like, again, lanes. The traffic goes right to the internet, does not interrupt what's happening on campus. So what other name would I really call it? I had a note here. The Student Command Center is what we'd like to,
it's kind of cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
It's just a great opportunity for students to test sort of, I didn't use the words I wanted to either when we were talking before, when we were talking about the name change. I think we went from a very strict blue team approach, which is internal, I'm protecting, I'm providing support for, to the red team is more the other side, what you would consider a hacker trying to break something or come from the outside in. I think our name change really encompasses that purple team, which we're seeing more of, where it's both. As a technician, you need to understand both sides of it, how to protect it and what's coming at me. The DMC allows us to see how it's done. So it's not just giving it a name of this is the concern we have, but this is how it's being done and what we should do to stop it. which, if you don't mind, I segue to something that the students are involved in this semester that I'm really very excited about.
Please do.
The National Cyber League is NCL. Don't Google it. You'll come up with Norwegian Cruise Line. But the NCL for National Cyber League is really a national competition that high schools and colleges can participate in that provide them with the tools that are happening at the DMZ also. So it's the same sort of hacking challenges where you're decrypting things or you're looking through log files of something that went wrong and you're trying to identify what it is. And I always bring up to students if it's a concern or not. So sometimes things are causing a lot of noise and traffic on your network, but is it a concern or not? And that's always the question we're trying to answer.
I love this because to understand the mind of a hacker, you might need to have the mind of a hacker yourself. So like you said, kind of purple, understanding both sides of the coin here really helps students become the best person they can in this industry. What other kind of skill sets might a student need?
Well, and that's where the interest to date, in my opinion, is the students that want to be on those penetration teams, those pen testers. The other side, the folks that are maybe really great at analysis or reporting, don't see their role in that. And I think it's important for them to see maybe what that hacker has produced and how they would report on it to management per se for requests for more equipment or more help or more services, those type of things.
This career also really fits into the STEM industry. And I know we talk about it a lot on this program, actually, the need for more women in this industry. What are you seeing? Is it a male-dominated field? Are you seeing more women stepping up and finding their purpose in this type of industry?
I'm glad you asked it. I'm also hate that you asked it.
Yeah.
It's very much an opinion question. I joined late 90s. I would like to say the departments I worked in were maybe 50-50, but much more business analysts, I would say. Women were in those roles. Networking, it's almost unheard of. The fact that we have 2 female instructors at the college for networking is very rare. What I'm seeing in the classroom is still very male-dominated. I don't know why that is. I had a colleague of mine who's a data cruncher try to give me some answers of, is it changing? Do we see more women coming into the field? What am I seeing in the classroom? His data tells me yes, that it's going up, but we're still 25%-ish. And that by 2025, they're hoping to see 35%. What I'm seeing in the classroom is still 1 or 2 or 3 females that are in the classroom. My hope is, what I said before, if you don't feel super technical, and even I was at Kimberly High School yesterday talking about careers, and I was trying to give them a hook of why they would come. I think if you just are curious, if you find it interesting, maybe you're not super technical, maybe you're not a programmer, which I'm not, right? A lot of our fun things that happen at middle school and high school are very program focused. I would not like that, and I would have never picked this job based off of that. That's just the way my mind works, right? So if we can think of more networking things that are fun, again, you might then segue into cyber, because so much of cyber is back on both of those topics, to be honest. So if you love programming, you still can be in cyber. It's just a different aspect that you would be working through things or reporting back.
Interesting. It seems, though, that the jobs are out there. The jobs are available, too, when it comes to this career field.
I think they are. I think you're back to, I'm going to say one of your questions here with who would be interested in this program. It's really fun to be this far in my career at this point and ask people their question of their career path and how they've got here. They're all very weavy.
Yeah.
They tried something, they didn't like it, they tried something else. Solving problems, and I know many careers are solving problems, but sometimes, I was thinking of this in the ride here. If people want to help people, they think of the healthcare field, which is no doubt, but maybe you hate blood. In IT, you can help people too. Yeah. You can help people all the time.
We'll leave it there, but I've really learned a lot here. Thank you so much, Wendy, for your insight and your knowledge in this area. And thanks for being part of Focus on Careers.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. If you want more information, go to fvtc.edu/cybersecurity. We'll take a break.